your early days in the industry in cinema and how you ഒരു സിനിമാക്കാരി എന്ന രീതിയിൽ സിനിമയിലേക്കുള്ള ഒരു തുടക്കം എങ്ങനെയായിരുന്നു?
Good evening, everyone. Essentially, before answering the question, I like to thank all of you for being here for this conversation, because this is not a Q&A, this is a conversation session, because from both of us benefit from it. That's what I understand. Conversations always makes things more clear and clarity on this. So thank you for being here, everyone. And Robin, thank you for the invite, and all the faculties. Thank you. Answering the question, that is the longest period I've been in the industry. It's been 14 years. In the early days, it was getting more tougher and the toughest. That was the easy definition for the past 14 years, because when I came into the industry first as an AD in 2010, before that I finished filmmaking for digital filmmaking for 1 year. Then I joined Adamida Madinabu. But then from the first day itself, everybody was asking, do you want to act? Because everybody was seeing a person who's working behind the camera. They are thinking that you are not going to direct anything. You are not going to do anything. Then why are you here? Why are you doing this job? Mostly they're all imagining that I came here to become an actor. Because that was the scenario that we were in the industry at that point. No one was taking us very seriously. We were just time passing, or just people don't know why we are here. We also have stories, or we also have passion, or we also wanted to say things on this medium. We are all passionate, and we are film lovers, and we want to be filmmakers. And nobody heard all that. Everybody was thinking, കുറച്ച് നാള് ക്യാമറയുടെ പുറകെ നിന്ന് കുറച്ച് പരിചയമൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടാക്കിയിട്ട് എങ്ങനെയെങ്കിലും സിനിമയിൽ അഭിനയിക്കാൻ ശ്രമിക്കുന്ന ആളുകളാണ് എന്നാണ് എല്ലാവരും മനസ്സിലാക്കിയത്. അപ്പൊ ഞാനിങ്ങനെ ആവർത്തിച്ച് ആൾക്കാരോട് എനിക്ക് അഭിനയിക്കണ്ട, ഞാൻ ക്യാമറയുടെ മുമ്പിൽ ഭയങ്കര ഷൈ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരാളാണ്, എന്റെ ഉദ്ദേശം അതല്ല, എനിക്ക് എന്റെ കയ്യിൽ കഥകളുണ്ട്, ഐ വോണ്ട് ടു മേക്ക് ഫിലിംസ്, ഐ വോണ്ട് ടു ബി എ ഫിലിം മേക്കർ. ഇതിങ്ങനെ ആവർത്തിച്ച് പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു 5-6 വർഷമാണ് എന്റെ സിനിമയിലെ ഏർലി സ്റ്റേജ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ആ സമയത്ത് എനിക്കറിയുന്ന 1-2 സ്ത്രീകളാണ് ഈ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രിയിൽ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ സ്വാഭാവികമായിട്ടും നമ്മുടെ നേരെ വരുമെന്ന് നമ്മൾ തന്നെ പറഞ്ഞും പ്രവർത്തിച്ചും we wanted to prove it otherwise, that women want to do other things as well എന്നുള്ളത് നമ്മൾ പ്രൂവ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കണം എന്നുള്ള ഒരു സ്റ്റേജ് ആണ്. It was very difficult in the beginning, but I'm saying that I'm very fortunate that I found a good team to begin with. To start with, Salim Muhammad was a very passionate filmmaker. He came with Madhu Ambat was the cinematography in the film. So the team was very nice, and they were all trying to make a good film possible. So it was a good start for me to understand how we are doing things like this. A lot of people coming together and making something serious about it. We're all very serious and committed towards the work. So I have learned that professional practice from that film. So it was a good start for me, definitely, but it was a very difficult scenario as talking about the whole industry. The early days was tough, like many of us, many of others. It was very difficult, but we managed, we survived. That's what I feel.
Okay, coming to your film, how did you arrive at the story of 1901A? Because there is a political backdrop to it. We can't really when we talk about the film, certain names comes up, certain issues, and that we are facing as a country right now. So how do you arrive at that story? Because you're as a writer director.
To be honest, 1901 was not the first film that I pitched for and I made. Maybe it was the 3rd or 4th. I have wrote many screenplays before. I started working on many things, but nothing got materialized. Actually, we got the casting, we got the producer. Sometimes it got cancelled, sometimes it didn't happen. I still don't know why it didn't happen. There had many scenarios like that. But then later, like in 2018 or something, that I just wrote this as a very small film, like a very small scale, small budgeted film. Because I was trying to make films with 3 crore and 4 crores that back then, with the actors like that, the mainstream actors and all that, but things were not getting materialized. I thought after Anjali Menon did Bangalore Days, things were a little bit better because people were listening to our stories more. So it was a good period to try something out, but my projects were not getting materialized. So I thought I'll do something smaller in terms of I'll focus on the content, not the scale of it or the actors or it. I'll try to arrange some money and do something, that was the plan initially. Then I was trying to write a few things and it didn't ended up well. Then suddenly one day I felt like writing about this scenario where this, the incident happened, that which we all were worried and concerned about how the country and the politics were moving. So I was also bothered about things happening around me, and we were all, friends and all that. We were discussing many things. But my perspective of politics, seeing things, this is very personal to me. I always understand politics as a scenario we used in films like slogans and propagandas and all that political movements and all that. But my perspective on this is very different. I always observe the politics between two people when we are traveling into a place, or we are sharing a meal, or when we are discussing something. So there comes a politics that need to be addressed. So my perspective is always very personal towards it. പണ്ട് കറണ്ട് കട്ടിന്റെ സമയത്തൊക്കെ വീട്ടിലിരിക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് ദൂരദർശനിൽ കണ്ട വാർത്തയെ പറ്റി വീട്ടുകാർ സംസാരിക്കുമ്പോൾ ഉണ്ടാവുന്ന ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു സംഭവം എന്നുള്ള രീതിയിൽ പൊളിറ്റിക്സിനെ കാണാൻ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മുടെ നാഷണൽ പൊളിറ്റിക്സിനെ പോലും അങ്ങനെ സംസാരിക്കാൻ പറ്റണം എന്നുള്ള ഒരു തോട്ട് പ്രോസസ് എനിക്കുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അപ്പൊ 1991 ഞാൻ വളരെ പേഴ്സണൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു അപ്രോച്ചിൽ ഒരു പൊളിറ്റിക്കൽ സംഭവം കൊണ്ടുവരാനുള്ള, അതായത് എന്റെ രീതിയിലേക്ക് എന്നെ അഫക്ട് ചെയ്ത ഒരു ഇൻസിഡന്റിനെ കൊണ്ടുവരാനുള്ള ഒരു ശ്രമം ആയിരുന്നു ബേസിക്കലി ആ ഒരു കണ്ടന്റ്. പക്ഷെ അതൊരു വളരെ ചെറിയ സിനിമയായിട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയാണ് എഴുതിയത്. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ആ തിരക്കഥയ്ക്ക് ഒരു ഒതുക്കമുണ്ട്. വേറെ ആരെയും ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുകയോ ഒരു കാസ്റ്റിംഗ് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുകയോ ഇങ്ങനെ പ്ലേസ് ചെയ്യപ്പെടുന്ന വിചാരിക്കുകയോ ഒന്നും ചെയ്തിട്ടല്ല. ഇറ്റ് ജസ്റ്റ് വളരെ അതിന്റെ കോൺക്രീറ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള അതിന്റെ ഒരു ബേസിക് ഐഡിയ, ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു പെൺകുട്ടി ഒരു സിറോപ്പ് ഷോപ്പ് അവിടേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവരുന്ന ഒരു മെറ്റീരിയൽ, മേ ബി ആ രാഷ്ട്രീയത്തിലേക്ക് ഒരു രാഷ്ട്രീയം കടന്നു വരുന്നു എന്നുള്ള ഒരു പെർസ്പെക്റ്റീവില് വളരെ സിമ്പിൾ ഒരു സംഭവമായിട്ടാണ് അത് എഴുതിയത്. ആക്ച്വലി അതൊരു അന്ന് നമ്മളിങ്ങനെ സുഹൃത്തുക്കളൊക്കെ കൂടി 50 ലക്ഷം രൂപ അങ്ങനെ അതിലും താഴെ പൈസക്ക് അന്ന് അത് ഷൂട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുമെന്ന് ആലോചിച്ച് എഴുതിയ ഒരു പ്രോജക്റ്റ് ആണത്. ബട്ട് എഴുതി വന്നപ്പം അത് അതിന്റെ ഒരു ഡെസ്റ്റിനി കണ്ടെത്തിയ പോലെയാണ് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത്. പക്ഷെ ആ സമയത്ത് നമ്മുടെ എല്ലാവരുടെയും ഉള്ളിൽ കൂടി കടന്നുപോയ കുറെ ചർച്ചകളും ഡിസ്കഷൻസും ഒക്കെ എന്നെ ഇൻഫ്ലുവൻസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട് ടു മേക്ക് ദി ഫിലിം ബേസിക്കലി.
How do you arrive at a form of a film? How you the style that needs to be when you think about the script, you need to have a certain style. What is your process of as a director? What's the process of finding that style, arriving at that style?
ബേസിക്കലി ഒരു എന്റെ അനുഭവത്തിൽ വളരെ തുറന്നു പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഈ സിനിമ എഴുതി കഴിയുന്നത് വരെ ഇത് എങ്ങനെ ഒരു സിനിമയായിരിക്കും എന്നുള്ള ഒരു ധാരണ ഇല്ലാതെയാണ് ഞാൻ എഴുതിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. ഐ വാസ് ജസ്റ്റ് ഗോയിങ് വിത്ത് ദ ഫ്ലോ. ബിക്കോസ് എന്റെ ഉള്ളിലേക്ക് വരുന്നത് എനിക്കറിയാം ഇതിന്റെ ബേസിക് ത്രെഡ് ഇതാണ്, വളരെ സിമ്പിൾ ലൈനിൽ പറയാവുന്ന ഒരു ത്രെഡാണ്. അപ്പൊ അതില് ഒരു ക്യാരക്ടർ ഉണ്ട്. ഈ ക്യാരക്ടറുമായിട്ട് എനിക്ക് അവരുമായിട്ട് ഇന്ററാക്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്ന തരം മൈൻഡ് സ്പേസ് ഉള്ള ഒരു പെൺകുട്ടിയുണ്ട് ഇതിനകത്ത്. സോ ഞാൻ അവരുടെ ഡേ ടു ഡേ ലൈഫ് എന്താണ്, അവരെന്താ ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്, വാട്ട്സ് ഹാപ്പനിങ്, വാട്ട് ഇസ് ഇൻസൈഡ് ഓഫ് ലൈക്ക് ഇങ്ങനെയാണ് ഞാൻ അതിനെ കണ്ടത്. അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ ആ ഒരു ഫ്ലോയിൽ ആ ക്യാരക്ടറിനെ ഒന്ന് സെറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ആ ഒരു ഫ്ലോയിൽ ആ സിനിമ കൊണ്ടുപോകായിരുന്നു. അത് എഴുതുന്ന സമയത്ത് എഴുതി കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഇത് വായിക്കുമ്പോഴാണ് എനിക്കും ഇതിന്റെ ഒരു ഫ്ലേവർ എന്താണ്, ഇതിന്റെ ഒരു ടെക്സ്ചർ എന്താണെന്നൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ എഴുതിയ തിരക്കഥ, കാരണം അതിനു മുമ്പ് ഞാൻ എഴുതാൻ ശ്രമിച്ച തിരക്കഥകളൊന്നും ഈ ഒരു സ്വഭാവത്തിലുള്ളതായിരുന്നില്ല. അപ്പൊ എന്നെ സംബന്ധിച്ചും അത് പുതിയതായിരുന്നു. സോ അത് എഴുതി കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോഴാണ് ഓക്കെ ഇത് ഭയങ്കര ന്യൂആൻസ്ഡ് ആണ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇതിൽ ഇങ്ങനത്തെ പോസിബിലിറ്റീസ് ഉണ്ട്, ഇതിൽ വളരെ സിമ്പിൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ഒബ്സർവന്റ് നേച്ചർ ആണ് ഈ സിനിമയ്ക്ക് ആവശ്യം. ബിക്കോസ് നമ്മൾ വളരെ സീരിയസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള വിഷയം സംസാരിക്കുന്നെങ്കിലും വളരെ സർട്ടിൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഇമോഷൻസ് ആണ് ഈ രണ്ട് സെൻട്രൽ ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ് ഇവോക്ക് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്. ഈവൻ നിത്യ ചെയ്ത ക്യാരക്ടറും സേതുപതി ചെയ്ത ക്യാരക്ടറും വളരെ സ്ട്രോങ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ് ആണെങ്കിലും വളരെ സർട്ടിലാണ് എല്ലാ കാര്യവും. അയാളൊരു റൈറ്റർ ആണ്, അയാളൊരു ആക്ടിവിസ്റ്റ് ആണെന്ന് പറയുമ്പോഴും അയാളുടേതും ഏറ്റവും ലൈറ്റർ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു സൈഡാണ് നമ്മൾ സിനിമയിൽ എക്സ്പ്ലോർ ചെയ്യുന്നതെന്ന് അത് എഴുതി കഴിയുമ്പോഴാണ് എനിക്ക് മനസ്സിലായത്. സോ ഐ നോ ഇത് നമ്മളെ വളരെ ജെന്റിൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ടച്ചിൽ ഈ സംഭവം പറയാൻ പറ്റുമോ എന്നുള്ളതായിരുന്നു. ഇറ്റ് ഷുഡ് ബി ജെന്റിൽ ആൻഡ് ദർ ഷുഡ് ബി ആൻ ഒബ്സർവന്റ്. ഒരു സ്ഥലത്തും കയറി ഒരു ഫിലിം മേക്കർ ഇടപെടേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ലാത്ത ഒരു സിനിമ ആയിരിക്കും ഇത് എന്നുള്ളതായിരുന്നു. പിന്നെ നമ്മുടെ ഒരു പേഴ്സണൽ ടേസ്റ്റ് ഓൺ തിങ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന സാധനം നമ്മൾ ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നതിലെല്ലാം വരും. ഐ ഓൾവേസ് ബിലീവ് ദാറ്റ് ദ ഫിലിം ഈസ് എ ടോട്ടാലിറ്റി ഓഫ് ദ ടേസ്റ്റ് ഓഫ് ദ ഫിലിം മേക്കർ. ലൈക്ക് നമ്മുടെ ഒരു മൊത്തം സംഭവങ്ങളുടെ നമ്മുടെ ഒരു റൂട്ടീന്റെ പോലത്തെ ഒരു ആകത്തുകയാണ് കുറെ ഏരിയയിലെങ്കിലും നമ്മുടെ സിനിമകൾ. മോസ്റ്റ് ഓഫ് ദ ഫിലിം മേക്കേഴ്സ് അങ്ങനെയാണെന്നാണ് ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത്. സോ I try to be very honest with the film. I didn't like to take positions or anything. I just try to go with the flow and be an observant of, how these people navigating the life and this incident and all that. So I was just very quiet observer within these characters. That was my role in the whole screenplay. That's what I understood after reading it. Then I tried to follow that to the whole process later.
Okay. You roped in one of the biggest stars in South Indian industry, Vijay Sethupathi. How was the experience working with Nithya Menon? Yes, of course. And how was the experience working with them?
I'll start with Nithya. To be honest, this is one of the greatest treasures that I got to keep in my life, because they're very interesting actors, both of them, Nithya and Sethupathi. They're very interestingly placed also. We can't always predict what Nithya will do, because what Sethupathi will do. We can see their filmography for last 10 years or so. We can understand that they are very unpredictable and very unique in their own positions. We can't compare anyone to Nithya Menon. We can't compare any other stars to Vijay Sethupathi, because it's very unpredictable and, very interestingly placed. So it is something that I observed about them a lot, earlier, before even pitching it to them. So I thought it's a good try to see, how these people, stars are, how they respond to this screenplay. Basically, ഒരു സ്ട്രക്ചറിലേക്ക്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അവർ ചെയ്യുന്ന സിനിമകളുടെ ഒന്നും സ്ട്രക്ചറിലേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവന്നിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു സിനിമയല്ല ഇത്. നിത്യ അങ്ങനെ ഒരു സിനിമ ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ല. വിജയ് സേതുപതി ട്രൈ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്, ഓഫ് കോഴ്സ്. പക്ഷെ ഇത്രയും ജെന്റിൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ളതും ഒന്ന് മൊത്തത്തിൽ എല്ലാത്തിനെയും ഒന്ന് ഡൗൺ ടോൺ ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളതായിട്ടുള്ള പെർഫോമൻസസ് റീസെന്റ് അദ്ദേഹം ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല. സോ എന്നെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് ഇതിനോട് അവരെങ്ങനെ റെസ്പോണ്ട് ചെയ്യും എന്നുള്ള ഒരു ക്യൂരിയോസിറ്റിയിലാണ് ഞാൻ ഈ സ്ക്രിപ്റ്റുമായിട്ട് അവരുടെ അടുത്ത് പോകുന്നത്. പിന്നെ ദ ബെസ്റ്റ് തിങ് ഐ ഹാഡ് ഇസ്, എനിക്ക് വളരെ സിമ്പിൾ ആയിട്ടൊരു വൺ ലൈനിൽ പറയാവുന്ന കഥയുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അതായത് ഇത് വളരെ സിംപിളി പറഞ്ഞാൽ ആർക്കും മനസ്സിലാവുന്ന ഒരു കഥയാണ്. അതായത് ഇതൊരു വലിയ നോ ബിഗർ ലേയേഴ്സ് ടു ഇറ്റ്. ഇറ്റ്സ് വെരി സിമ്പിൾ ദാറ്റ് ദിസ് ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു പെൺകുട്ടി, ദിസ് person is coming and leaving a manuscript there and he's not coming back. This is the one line, and it was very simple. And these two people were excited about the one line initially when I sent the idea or the log line or synopsis. So then the conversation, I easily got the meetings for these two, and then I narrated it and it worked actually, because for Sethupathi, he understands the politics of the film very well. He understands, he observes a lot, so he knows the whole idea and why I'm making this film. He was aware. Nithya, in other way, she loved the character and ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ ഈ സിനിമയുടെ ഒരു ഈ ജെന്റിൽ ഒബ്സർവന്റ് നേച്ചർ നിത്യയെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് നിത്യ ഭയങ്കര ബബ്ലി ആയിട്ട് ആക്റ്റീവായിട്ട് എപ്പോഴും ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു ഇമേജ് ഉണ്ടെന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുന്ന ഒരാളാണ്. നിത്യക്ക് നേരെ തിരിച്ച് ഞാൻ അഭിനയിക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ എന്ന് എന്നോട് ഇങ്ങനെ ഇടയ്ക്ക് ഞാൻ അഭിനയിക്കുന്നത് മനസ്സിലാവുന്നത്, ഞാൻ അഭിനയിക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ എന്ന് എന്നോട് സെറ്റിൽ ഇടയ്ക്ക് ചോദിക്കുന്ന രീതിയിൽ അണ്ടറായിട്ട് പെർഫോം ചെയ്യാനുള്ള ഒരു പോസിബിലിറ്റിയാണ് അവരൊന്ന് എക്സ്പ്ലോർ ചെയ്ത് നോക്കിയത്. അപ്പം ഈ രണ്ട് ആക്ടേഴ്സിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ചും ചെറിയ സിനിമയാണിത്, പക്ഷെ ഈ സിനിമ ഇങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യാനാണ് അവർക്കും താല്പര്യം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നത്. അതായത് എന്നോട് കുറെ പേര് ചോദിച്ചു, ഇവർ വരുമ്പോൾ ഇവരുടെ ഒരു സ്റ്റാർഡത്തിലേക്ക് ഈ സിനിമയെ നമ്മൾ കൊണ്ടുപോകണ്ടേ, അങ്ങനത്തെ പ്ലേയേഴ്സ് വരേണ്ടി വരുമോ, ഹൗ ആർ യു ഗോയിങ് ടു make changes? I didn't change a word, like just we shot as I wrote. കോവിഡിന്റെ സമയത്ത് ആയതുകൊണ്ടുള്ള ചെറിയ ട്രാവൽ ഏരിയാസ് അങ്ങനത്തേക്കുള്ള ചെറിയ കോംപ്രമൈസസ് എനിക്ക് ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതർവൈസ് നമ്മൾ എഴുതിയ പോലെ ഒരു സിനിമ ചെയ്യാൻ ഇവർ രണ്ടുപേരും ഭയങ്കര വില്ലിംഗ് ആയിട്ട് കൂടെ നിന്ന ആൾക്കാരാണ്. നമ്മൾ കൊണ്ടു ചെല്ലുന്ന സംഭവത്തിനോട് റെസ്പെക്ട് ഉള്ള ആക്ടേഴ്സ് ആണ്. അവർ ചെയ്യോ ഇല്ലയോ എന്നുള്ളതിനുപരി നമ്മൾ പോയി പറയുന്ന സമയത്ത് നമ്മൾ ഇത് എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് ചെന്നിരിക്കുന്നത് എന്നുള്ളതിന്റെ ഒരു റെസ്പെക്ട് നമ്മളോട് കാണിക്കുന്ന രണ്ട് ആക്ടേഴ്സ് ആണ് അവർ രണ്ടുപേരും. ആൻഡ് വെരി ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റിംഗ്, വർക്ക് ചെയ്യാനും ഭയങ്കര പ്രൊഫഷണൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള രണ്ട് ആളുകളാണ്. അപ്പൊ ഒരു ഡെബ്യൂ ഡയറക്ടറെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് ഇതിൽ ഒന്നും ചോദിക്കാനില്ല എല്ലാ രീതിയിലാണ്. സിനിമയുടെ ഫേസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഞാൻ ഒന്നും ചെയ്യേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ല, അത് അങ്ങനെ പോകുമ്പോട്ട് എനിക്ക് അറിയാം. പ്ലസ് ഇവര് വേറൊരു സ്റ്റാർഡത്തിന്റെ യാതൊരു പ്രശ്നം, രണ്ട് സ്റ്റാർസ് ഈ സെറ്റിൽ ഉണ്ടെന്ന് ആ സെറ്റ് കണ്ടാലോ അവിടുത്തെ ഒരു ഇടപെടലും നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാവാത്ത രീതിയിലുള്ള വളരെ എന്റെ കംഫർട്ടബിൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള കുറച്ച് സുഹൃത്തുക്കളുടെ കൂടെ ഞാൻ സിനിമ ചെയ്ത പോലെ തന്നെയാണ് അവരെനിക്ക് തിരിച്ചു തന്ന ഒരു റിസൾട്ടും. സോ ഇറ്റ് വാസ് വെരി, അതാണ് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത് നല്ല ആക്ടേഴ്സിന്റെ ലക്ഷണം എന്ന് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത്. ഇറ്റ്സ് വെരി, ഐ എം ഗ്രേറ്റ്ഫുൾ.
ഓക്കെ, എനിക്ക് സിനിമയെ കുറിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഒന്ന് കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാനുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഒന്നാമത് ആ സിനിമയുടെ ഒരു പേസിംഗ് ആണ്. വളരെ സമയം എടുത്തിട്ടാണ് ആ കഥാപാത്രങ്ങള്, യു ഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ദ ക്യാരക്ടർ വിത്ത് എ വെരി യു took your own time, established their routine and very slowly got into their lives. And after a point, it's very understandable because after a point you're breaking the routine. Girl has completely out of a routine because he going in a
Yeah.
different trajectory altogether.
Yeah.
So how was the what's the idea behind it?
Basically, I started with the character, and she's leading a very monotonous life. Life is completely monotonous. She's stuck somewhere. She can't move forward. Her family dynamics with the father is dull, and they have a Xerox shop. Nobody uses Xerox shop these days. Very rarely we only go for the script copying and all that. Very rarely we use these kind of things now. So the thing is, in every way, she's stuck, and it's nothing moving ahead. So it's completely monotonous. So I wanted to take time to get into that zone of how this boredom and monotony and this how can we say ഈ ഒരു സ്ഥലത്ത് തന്നെ ഇങ്ങനെ പെട്ട് കിടക്കുന്ന ഒരാളുടെ ആ റൂട്ടീനിൽ മനുഷ്യൻ ഇല്ലാണ്ടാവുന്ന ഒരു സാഹചര്യം എങ്ങനെ എസ്റ്റാബ്ലിഷ് ചെയ്യാം എന്നുള്ളതിന് എനിക്ക് ഏറ്റവും ആവശ്യമായിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്ന ഒരു സമയമായിരുന്നു. അതായത് ഇറ്റ് നീഡഡ്, അതായത് ആ സ്ക്രീൻ പ്ലേയുടെ ഒരു വലിയ ചങ്ക് ഓഫ് ടൈം ഐ വാണ്ടഡ് ടു ഗീവ് ഇറ്റ് ടു ദാറ്റ് പേഴ്സൺസ്. ചുറ്റുമൊന്നും ഇല്ലായിക ഒരു വോയിഡ് ഈ പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു സംഭവത്തിന് വേണ്ടി എസ്റ്റാബ്ലിഷ് ചെയ്യാൻ എനിക്ക് വേണമായിരുന്നു. പക്ഷെ ഞാൻ വിചാരിച്ചതിലും ഞാൻ ഇതിലും സ്ലോ ആയിരിക്കും എന്നാണ് ഞാനിത് എഴുതിയപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ അസ്യൂം ചെയ്തത്. ബട്ട് ഇതിന്റെ ഫിലിം മേക്കിംഗ് സ്ട്രക്ചറിലേക്ക് വന്നപ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് കുറച്ചും കൂടി അതൊന്ന് ഒതുക്കാൻ പറ്റിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. സ്റ്റിൽ ഇറ്റ്സ് എ സ്ലോ ബേണിംഗ് ഒരു സംഭവമാണ്. ഓൾസോ ഇപ്പൊ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ ദിസ് ദി അതർ പാർട്ട് ഓഫ് ദി ഫിലിം. ഒരു പോയിന്റ് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ വി ഹാവ് ടു ബ്രേക്ക് ദിസ് പാറ്റേൺ സീൻ ഓർഡേഴ്സ്. പക്ഷെ അങ്ങോട്ട് പോയാൽ ടൂ മച്ച് ഫ്ലഷ് ഔട്ട് ചെയ്യാനുള്ള എലമെന്റ്സും ഇല്ല സ്ക്രീൻ പ്ലേയിൽ. ബിക്കോസ് നമ്മളൊരു പെർസ്പെക്റ്റീവ് അനുസരിച്ചാണ് കഥ പറഞ്ഞു പോകുന്നത്. സോ ഒരു പോയിന്റിൽ സ്പീഡ് ആക്കുക എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഒരു പരിധി വിട്ട് ആക്കാനും പറ്റില്ല. അപ്പം അതുകൊണ്ടൊരു ബാലൻസ് ഇതിനകത്ത് കാണുകയാണ്. കാരണം ഈ സിനിമയുടെ ഒരു ഗ്രാമർ തുടക്കത്തിൽ കണ്ടതിൽ നിന്നും പൂർണ്ണമായിട്ട് വിട്ടിട്ട് ഒരു സെക്കൻഡ് ഹാഫ് നമുക്ക് ഉണ്ടാക്കാനും പറ്റില്ല. പക്ഷെ ഇറ്റ് ഷുഡ് add a little more pace to it. I started with the character's monotony, and then the conflict arrives. Then the conflict is taking the character out of the zone. So I had to move this in a periodical, in a rhythm. So music helped a bit to help to tone this down, this pace and all that. But yeah, I travel with the character, and that decide the pace of the film.
Also interesting was the relation between the father and daughter.
Yeah, that's something everybody always talk about, because it came like that. I've seen people like that. I have seen in relatives, families, and friends' families, the dynamics of not talking to the father and the silence that happens in the house. I've seen that many times at many places. And it always moved also, because family is something that we all believe it to be chaotic, and it has some rush and all that all the time going, and people are screaming and dinner or this, that, and all that. So I wanted to keep it very, very light, and that person is also kind of a depressed father, and then this dynamics is like this, because I didn't even write a single dialogue for them in the initial draft. There was no dialogue till the end. Then I wanted there's a little more conclusion to why these people are not talking. I showed it visually in the initial draft. Then everybody suggested that we have to keep at least one scene for that. So I just changed that way. I like the dynamics between them, basically. Yeah.
And thematically, the film has that what do you say, the political awakening of a girl. Girl, as you mentioned, was caught in a village in a certain routine, but then suddenly there is an incident. There's this awakening of the political awakening of that character. I mean, what was the? What do you think about that?
I think that's me only, because we all were like that. I was also born into a very small middle class family and studied in a village and all that. So I think many women like that. Up to an age, we believe in certain things, and we go with the plans of the family, and suddenly you started reading, you started seeing other things, and you started meeting people. Then things happen to you, and that will change. Otherwise, a person like me will never be a filmmaker. So this thing is, this at some point of your life, ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു സമയത്ത് ഇങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു ഇൻസിഡന്റ് നമ്മളെല്ലാവരും വന്നിട്ട് ഹിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നതാണ് ഞാൻ വിശ്വസിക്കുന്നത്. എസ്പെഷ്യലി സ്ത്രീകളുടെ എല്ലാം കാര്യത്തിൽ ഞാനത് അങ്ങനെ കാണുന്നുണ്ട്. അത് ഏത് പെർസ്പെക്റ്റീവിൽ സംഭവിക്കുന്ന കാര്യമായാലും, ഈ ഒരു അവേക്കണിങ് നമുക്കൊക്കെ ഒരു പെർട്ടിക്കുലർ ഏജിൽ ഉണ്ടായിട്ടാണ് നമ്മളൊക്കെ നമ്മുടെ പാത്ത് തിരഞ്ഞെടുത്ത് വരുന്നതെന്നാണ് ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പം ഈ അങ്ങനത്തെ ഈ കമ്മിങ് ഓഫ് ഏജ് സിനിമകളുടെ സ്വഭാവത്തിലേക്ക് പൊളിറ്റിക്സിനെ കൊണ്ടുവന്ന് കാണുക എന്നുള്ള ഒരു ആഗ്രഹം കൂടി ഈ 19-1 ഈ ഒരു പ്ലോട്ടിനകത്തുണ്ട്. ബിക്കോസ് അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു നമ്മളിങ്ങനെ കാണുന്ന ആളുകളൊക്കെ അവരുടെ സ്വപ്നം അച്ചീവ് ചെയ്ത് പോകുന്ന സിനിമകളാണ് കാണുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ അതിനൊരു കോർ റീസണിൽ രാഷ്ട്രീയത്തെ ഉപയോഗിക്കുക എന്നുള്ള ഒരു സംഭവം കൂടിയായിരുന്നു. ബിക്കോസ് നമുക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും അത് എവിടെയൊക്കെ സംഭവിക്കുന്നുണ്ടെന്നാണ് ആഫ്റ്റർ ഒട്ടും പൊളിറ്റിക്സ് ഒന്നും സംസാരിക്കാൻ താല്പര്യമില്ല, അത് ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാൻ ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റ് ഇല്ല എന്ന് പറയുന്ന നമ്മുടെ ഗ്രൂപ്പിലെ ഫ്രണ്ട്സ് പോലും ഒരു പോയിന്റ് കഴിയുമ്പോൾ വളരെ കൃത്യമായിട്ട് കാര്യങ്ങൾ പറഞ്ഞു തുടങ്ങും നമ്മൾ കാണുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അത് വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആണെന്നാണ് ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത്. എനിക്ക് സംഭവിച്ചതാണ്, അതുപോലെ തന്നെയാണ് എന്റെ ക്യാരക്ടറിനും സംഭവിക്കുന്നതാണ്. പിന്നെ ഒരു സ്ത്രീയുടെ പെർസ്പെക്റ്റീവ് രാഷ്ട്രീയം പറയുന്നത് വളരെ സ്ട്രോങ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു സംഭവമായിട്ടാണ്. ബിക്കോസ് നമ്മൾ ഡേ ടു ഡേ ലൈഫിൽ ഈ പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു നാഷണൽ പൊളിറ്റിക്സിന്റെ സിനാരിയോയിൽ മാത്രമല്ലാത്ത ഈ ഫ്രീഡം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ തോട്ടുമായിട്ട് എപ്പോഴും വി ഫൈറ്റ് ഫോർ ദ ഫ്രീഡം ഫ്രം ദ ഡേ വി ബോൺ. സോ സ്ത്രീകൾ രാഷ്ട്രീയം പറയുന്നത് വളരെ വേറെ രീതിയിൽ ആഴത്തിലൊരു സ്പേസിൽ നിന്നാണ് എന്നുള്ള ഒരു തോട്ടും കൂടെ എനിക്കുണ്ട്. സോ yeah, that's there.
I think somebody has raised his hand.
Hi Abhilash. Hi Indhu.
Hi.
It is nice hearing about the film. And ഞാൻ ഈ അടുത്താണ് 19-1 കണ്ടത്. ആക്ച്വലി ഒരു couple of weeks before കണ്ടത്. പിന്നെ ഉടനെ തന്നെ ഞാൻ അങ്ങനെ ഇവന്റ് നടക്കേണ്ടതെന്ന് കേട്ടപ്പോൾ I was also curious to attend. So like it's still fresh so in my mind. So what I was able to take away from the film at least was like one person is kind of like trying to talk about like politics of the people and one on the counterpart like one is trying to talk find that politics of the self at the same time, right? ആ ഒരു synergy എങ്ങനെയാണ് like while writing definitely you would have explored എങ്ങനെ ഇത് ഒരു വേറിട്ട് കാണിക്കാം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അത് മേർജ് ആവുന്ന ഭാഗങ്ങൾ എങ്ങനെ കാണിക്കാം എന്നുള്ളത് എങ്ങനെയാണ് അതൊരു ലൈക്ക് കഥ തുടങ്ങുന്ന സമയം മുതലേ അത് അങ്ങനെ തന്നെയാണോ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നത്? അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ഡിമാർക്കേഷൻ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു ഇതിന് ഈ ഒരു എക്സ്പ്ലോറേഷൻ ഇതിൽ ത്രൂ ഔട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ പോകണമെന്ന്?
ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു ആക്ച്വലി. ബിക്കോസ് ഇതിന്റെ ഒരു ഐഡിയ നമ്മൾ ആലോചിക്കുമ്പോഴേ ഒരു ഫോട്ടോസ്റ്റാറ്റ് കടയിലേക്ക് ഞാൻ എപ്പോഴും പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ ഈ ഒരു മാനുസ്ക്രിപ്റ്റ് ഇങ്ങോട്ട് വരികയാണ്. അതായത് ഓൾറെഡി അപ്പുറത്തുള്ള ഓൾറെഡി റിട്ടേൺ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ഡോക്യുമെന്റ് വരുന്നു എന്നുള്ള ആ ഒരു ഫിസിക്കൽ സംഭവത്തിൽ കൂടെ ഈ രാഷ്ട്രീയം കടന്നു വരികയാണ്. അപ്പം ഓൾറെഡി അവിടെ ഇതിന്റെ ഒരു അവേക്കനിങ്ങും ഒരു പൊസിഷനിലും ഉണ്ട്. അതിനെ നമ്മൾ റെക്കോർഡിക്കലി പ്ലേസ് ചെയ്ത പോലത്തെ ഒരു സംഭവമാണ് വേറെ രീതിയിൽ ആലോചിച്ചാൽ ഈ മാനുസ്ക്രിപ്റ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഇത് വരുന്ന സമയത്തേക്ക് ഇതുവരെ ഒരു സാധനം അങ്ങനെ വായിച്ചു നോക്കാത്ത ഒരാള് അത് അവിടെ പെട്ടുപോയത് കൊണ്ട് തുറന്നു നോക്കുന്നു എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു സംഭവമാണല്ലോ. നമ്മള് ലൈബ്രറിയിൽ നിന്ന് എടുക്കുന്ന ഒരു ബുക്ക് ചിലപ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ ലൈഫ് ചേഞ്ചിങ് സംഭവമാണെന്ന് ആളുകൾ പറയുന്നത്. അതന്നെ. അപ്പൊ അത് വിച്ച് ഐ ഹാഡ് ഇൻ മൈ മൈൻഡ് ആൻഡ് ഐ വാണ്ടഡ് ടു കീപ് ഇറ്റ് ദാറ്റ് വേ ഇറ്റ്സെൽഫ്. ബിക്കോസ് ഇത് and in many dynamics of the film we are exploring that aspect of freedom with the who don't want to get married, or the father who's stuck in the family scene, or this penguti, or the other things, or about nature. That we are just saying as much as we can through the nuanced scenarios. Yeah, I wanted to keep both like this only. Yeah,
എനിക്ക് merge ആവുന്ന scenarios ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ലേ where she is reacting with like Gauri's mom. Not mom, sorry, sister. And like that was a very genuine scene I felt like, and also like them traveling through the forest and almost felt like a interstellar sort of situation.
She's going
if
to
I may reference
right. I wanted it like that, and also it's emotionally also it's a very connecting scenario. As much as I understand, I don't know, it may work, it may not work, but in my understanding, it's the path that you're following, or the path leading to another world or something like that. So we were shooting the scene where Nitya's character is going to Gauri's sister's house and going through the same walk he did, and everybody felt that in the set as well. Like we were saying, it's the same scene that is happening, and he's gone and she's with the manuscript and all that. So the merge that was important of part of the film, because it's parallel and it has to come. That's why the manuscript should connect both of them.
Right. So like why I was asking all of this is like my actual question was, ലൈക്ക് ഈ ഒരു രണ്ടൊരു പൊളിറ്റിക്സ് ഓഫ് പീപ്പിളിനെ റെപ്രസെന്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരാളും ലൈക്ക് പിന്നെ ഒരു ക്യാമറനെ ഒരു ഒബ്സർവർ എന്നുള്ള നിലയിൽ കഥയിൽ തന്നെ ഒരു ഒബ്സർവർ ഉണ്ട് നിത്യാമേനോൻ എന്നുള്ള ഒരു ക്യാരക്ടർ എന്നുള്ള രൂപത്തിൽ. അപ്പൊ അവരുടെ ഒരു എന്താ പറയാ, അവരാ പോണ ജേർണിയിലുള്ള ഒരു റെസൊല്യൂഷൻ ഉണ്ടല്ലോ, ആ എൻഡിങ്ങിലോട്ടേക്ക് അവർ രണ്ടാൾക്കും ഒരു റെസൊല്യൂഷൻ. ഒരെണ്ണം ലൈക്ക് വാസ് ദർ എ റീസൺ ദാറ്റ് ഓക്കെ in reality, when you have a politics of people and you're trying to stand up for them and trying to take it forward, there will be some sort of backlash, realistically speaking, right? So ആ ഒരു ബ്ലീക്ക്നെസ് അവിടെ വെച്ചിട്ട് ഇവിടെ പൊളിറ്റിക്സ് ഓഫ് ദ സെൽഫിന് ഒരു സക്സസ് കൊടുത്തു എന്നുള്ളത് അങ്ങനെ അത് ഇന്റൻഷനൽ ആയിരുന്നു, അതോ അങ്ങനെ തന്നെ ഒരു എഴുതിയൊരു ഫ്ലോയിൽ അങ്ങനെ വന്നു പോയതാണോ അങ്ങനെ ഒരു റെസൊല്യൂഷൻ?
ഇല്ല, അത് എഴുതി ഫ്ലോയിൽ വന്നതാണ്. When I write, I prefer to travel with the main character because the protagonist takes you somewhere, because it will organically come. You can plan a certain elements, but you can't plan the entire film. That's my learning, because namukku puttundakane pattu peera should come automatically in the varna pole. It's just you can plan, you can structure, you can think, you can you can write the characteristics, you can do everything, but beyond that there should be something that will come automatically if you're going through the right track, you're following the right protagonist. So it just came naturally. I generally like to follow the organic scenario. I mean, what comes, I take it, it's just that's what, most of it are organically developed scenarios in the film. Even till the ending, we just want to see how it is. So yeah.
Thanks.
സംസാരിക്കാം, നമുക്ക് ഓപ്പൺ ആക്കാം.
Hi, Indhu.
Hi, Robin.
Hi. So, like you were talking about, how, being organic is part of your process, right? So I was like, we were earlier also having a session with Krishant, and he was talking about pre-visualization, and also he's a person who do pre-visualization. So basically, also from my experience of working with other directors, assisting them, I have also found that broadly it's very wrong to categorize, but broadly there are two kinds of directors who depend more on the organic unfolding of let it be screenplay, let it be form, all the choices, creative choices that is made, and there is another section who meticulously plan and pre-visualize. Of course, there are the areas where both of these things intersect. But again, my question is that what kind of a process in that sense that you were taking? Were you doing pre-visualization? Were you planning? So, what was the pre-production process which you went through to? Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, Robin. Actually, the thing is, when I write, my first kind of pre-visualization starts with the process itself, because when I write, I see it. So I have a visual memory. I remember things as visuals mostly than words. So when I write, I can see what the shot is, because and I also have a process. I can't visualize someone else's screenplay. As of my experience, it's very difficult for me. I have read many screenplays and all, so I understood that it's easy for me if I write, because when I write, the whole visuals and tone and texture of the film is already unveiling in front of me. And I can see how the Xerox shops looks, or the kind of light, the yellow light, night, and all that. I can see things like that. So for me, I generally write in detail in my screenplay also how this looks. So also, I used to narrate in detail for a 2-hour, 3-hour long narration. So I narrate with visuals as well. So when I remember when I was narrating it to Nitya, and I told her something specific about some shot, then I forgot after 2 years while we were shooting it, and she told me, Indhu, you spoke about this shot like this. Did you forget that? Let's take that shot. So it's visual. For me, it's visuals rather than anything. So my pre-visualization process is there. I can't deny that fact that I'm not, when I say this, I organically follow the character and write it easily like that. But I can't ignore the fact that the visualization is done with the first draft of the screenplay, because I know when I meet a cinematographer for the first meeting, I can at least tell him like what I imagined, what was my first visual of the film, what was the first shot, or maybe how was the whole scenario looks like. So what was the color, texture. So it comes to me when I write. So I think I strongly believe in that as well. You try to get that maximum. You may not. I didn't get that completely when I shoot, but I tried to maintain that visual in my head for 2 years to get the shots right, because for me that first thing is very important. But after 19 I wrote few things, and I was planning parallelly multiple projects and series and all that ahead. So I try to do it otherwise as well, because that is one process worked for 19 that may not work for the other one, because that was a very simple film, if you ask me, very conventional in terms of making and all that. You can follow the character and make and all that. So maybe for the next one I can't do that, because we need other kinds of scenarios, something new I can try on. So we need a different kind of process for different films. For that film that worked, now I think I have to change that as well. So I do both. I can't stick to the other first style of it. So I try to change. You have a certain way of seeing things, because you're a person, you have been living for past 35 years, and you have a method of dealing things. For doing a different kind of cinema or different kind of approach, you need to change something in yourself as well. So which I tried. I'm trying for next one, hopefully.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
I think Sachin has raised his hand.
Hi, Indhu.
Hi, sir.
I wanted to ask you, this year particularly, when we look at this, how things have turned out from the outside, it feels like women directors have had a particularly welcoming year, at least in the award circuit, the festival circuit. Films like All We Imagine Is Light,
Yeah.
or Sandhya Suri's film, even Shuchi Talati's film Girls Will Be Girls, and so on. So I would like to know your take on, as an insider, is that how you also feel about what is happening right now with some the filmmakers, the names that I took?
First of all, it's very great that we are speaking about Pile and Girls Will Be Girls and all that, because it's very happy space we have arrived in, and it's long way to go, but we are making a huge progress as a society. That's what I see from here, because when I came into the industry, I was an alien, completely. It was very difficult to even go to the sets. We are seeing 100 men and one person, you are just roaming around in between. So it was not that easy. But when from 2010 to 2012, in my second film, there was 3 women, and I was seeing that small progress here. So finally, we are talking about All We Imagine As Light and Pile. So it's a very, very happy situation we are in, and it's a good year. And I'm hoping that this will influence a lot others to make more films. So we are still a very minor number in comparing to the larger industry scenario in India, because we are only maybe 20, maximum 20, 25 women filmmakers, maybe 30. We can't say more, So it's still a very difficult scenario, but we are making huge progress. I'm very happy. I'm witnessing this phase of cinema, because there are many kind of change that's happening. Even Hema Committee report to many other things that we are fighting to find the right space and a fair space in the working place. So we are also trying to deliver our good contents as well. So it's a hopeful scenario. I am very, very hopeful.
Okay, Indhu. Okay.
Janita has raised her hand. Janita, you can ask your question.
Yeah, hi. My
Hi.
name is Aarti. I'm Janita's friend. Uh, so on the since we are on the topic of female filmmakers, right? So both of us we are studying film and video production.
Great.
And right, so in our institute, and normally also we see that there are a set type of resources that one can gain access to. And there at times obviously are a lot of people who are like your contemporaries who also need access to those resources, let's say if
Mm.
we're talking equipments or anything, right?
Yeah,
So in
yeah.
such a scenario,
Mm.
and if you are, just getting into the film zone and just trying to set foot in those waters, can
Mm.
we, like, as just like new filmmakers, can we really experiment and try out our hands? Or like, are we supposed to first, take the conventional route and maybe assist a few people, and so that we don't kind of like overplay it
Yeah,
and
yeah.
consume others' resources as well?
Um, in my understanding, at this point of time, we are talking about cinema in 2025. I think you can experiment if you can try out what the resources you get and what kind of cinema you want to make, and you can write and apply for grants or many other way. I think if you are feeling like you have to you have to start, you have something to say, you have to experiment, then you start, because you don't have to follow the conventional path as of now. Since you are already studying cinema, I don't suggest you to follow the conventional path, in my understanding, because in my uh, time, when 2009 or 10, I didn't even know whether we can get an opportunity to assist, because that was a different time. So then the things have changed. Now we are all trying to make our contents. I think you guys should start working on it, because you don't have to follow the conventional path anymore, because contents are available. Whatever you need to know, it's available on the net. You can just sit and read and understand, and you can meet people. It's about finding the right team and finding a group of people who believes in you, and that's very important. For me, Film Institute also helped me finding the people with the right uh, choices, and I could interact with a lot of people who are similarly passionate with cinema, because before I joined my institute, I didn't know anyone else, not even a single person who want to be a filmmaker. I know only me who want to be a director. So in my institute, I found a group of people who are equally passionate, and we were all chasing the same goal, and it was nice. So now you can find a million people like. So it's good to have a team around you, people who believes in you, and you start out doing things. You don't have to follow any conventional path, because it's not necessary, it's not needed anymore. So I don't suggest you waste time like that. If you have an opportunity to work with a great director, or a director you may like, or maybe an interesting project, if you get an opportunity, if you're free, you're not planning anything, you try that out, because you will know how the wheels run in a set. That's the only thing you should know. When you pass a command from your monitor as a filmmaker, you should know how fast, or how this command passes to the person who want to deliver it. If you're talking about a costume department, or a makeup department, they made an error, you want to correct them, you should talk to your AD, and how this process is going. When we work as an AD, we know how this works and how things doesn't work also. So it's just the basics of it, fundamentally how a set functions. So otherwise, I don't suggest you to you try out doing things, you apply for funds, or try to find funds in other way, or reach out to people who are in the industry. Now everybody is accessible to many of the people, so I think you should start out doing things, because let's not waste, that era has passed. That's what I feel.
Yes, sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Is there any other questions that
Actually, I had one more. Can I?
please, yeah.
Sure. Indu, my question was like, when I watched like 1918, right? Uh, I felt like it's talking about truth and not doing anything about, like, in the sense that say the truth as it is, the story will take it forward, like how it flows, right? I felt the same thing when I watched Masan, or like Call Me by Your Name. How do you manage to stick to the politics that you want the film to say, right? While like once like in like once you make the film, while you're making the film, versus once you've made the film and you approach probably like a OTT partner, or maybe like a theatrical release if it's possible, depending on the subject. And also, how do you make sure that that gets through and it has a place of its own to come alive? I mean,
Once I finished the first draft of 1901, one thing I wanted to, try is it has to come in a mainstream scenario, like
Right.
because the people who understand this politics are the people who already knows about it or stand by it, or they already discuss about this politics in their day-to-day life. There is another bigger category. So I want this film to be on an Asianet. I wanted this film to be on in a mainstream scenario. That was my intention in the beginning to get the film released. That was the way in casting and approaching Nithya Menon and Vijay Sethupathi was one thing that I did. It was a smart decision. I know it because that was I planned, because this film has to come land in the center of the industry.
The noise,
Say, center of the noise. I didn't want to go this to a festival. We had opportunities to release it in a film festival before. We had that conversation happen but since I have a producer who's from the mainstream, he only does mainstream films, or that's their criteria of it. So I wanted this film to go with that path, because anyway I am choosing something political and staying this side. So this film should be in the other side as well. So that's why when Nithya Menon and Vijay Sethupathi came, I went to this Andrew Joseph's company for the production. So this gave a kind of a release which I wanted. I'm not talking about the theatrical scenario. I'm talking about the Hotstar and the Asianet and all that. Because I wanted this film to run there rather than a film festival. Because the festival audience already stand with this film. They already knows about the kind of politics this is.
They already associate with the politics
easily. So I wanted other people to watch it. I'm not saying they are not very intellect or anything like that. It's
to form an opinion of your own.
Yeah. It's so. So I planned it like that only. I didn't want the festival to come before the release or anything like that. We wanted it this way.
Right.
So that's how I dealt with the whole scenario. And also from the censor side, when we went to the censor, I thought we had to remove one dialogue. Maybe we were just expecting it. But surprisingly, nothing. We didn't censor anything, not even a word in the film. Okay. So, that's why I strongly believe that we are following the character and the emotion. Politics come inside of it. So then that's the best way to say what we have to say, because we want the audience to stick with the emotions of the character rather than what the politics they are saying. Right. So if you follow the emotion, you will understand the story. So that's what I wanted, other than, it should package it in a way that,
Right.
So that was the idea.
Hi.
Hi.
Palakkad. I'm a part of the Asomsaft. I'm a part of the college Asomsaft.
Okay.
Regarding the academic part, other than the direction department, do you think the other instrumental main part like cinematography, sound, and all? Don't you think that assisting maybe 7-8 years under a great team in the industry? Don't you think that it's more helpful and fruitful to be in an academic background, like studying in a film school? Will that be more helpful, or do you think that assisting someone for a longer time is helpful? And not just consider the direction department,
Okay.
the other parts, technical side, we may call it.
Yeah. If you're looking at the technical side, definitely experience matters, because
Aesthetically,
I always understood. Because but still, I believe that if you're already learning some basics from the film school, I think you can develop the other things. It's possible. That's what I understand. Because assisting for a long term, I still in my period, I said yes, it was helpful, it was grateful. But now I think I don't suggest anybody. I still think if you are learning cinema and then you just try out doing things, learn by your mistakes and try to read about more and try to read about more the updates that's coming in and just follow the path, because I don't I generally suggest anybody to spend too much time assisting now, because it's now everybody reads about everything, and even the aesthetics and the technical parts. So I think we are already in the right track if you're learning things. So just try and experiment. That's what I suggest, because I think that's needed now.
Okay.
I'm seeing people like that, they didn't work, they came, and they just did things. It's possible, it's still possible.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? Is there any other question?
Indhu, I wanted to ask you something about how you titled your film. So I was joking with Robin. What a courageous title. ചിലപ്പോൾ കേട്ടാൽ മനസ്സിലാകത്തില്ലായിരിക്കും. എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ 19-1A ഇപ്പം ആർട്ടിക്കിൾ 17 എന്നൊക്കെ പറയുന്ന പോലെ അല്ലല്ലോ. എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ചിലപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് അതിന്റെ ഒരു ക്യൂരിയോസിറ്റി നമുക്ക് തോന്നാം. അപ്പം അങ്ങനെ അതെന്താ അങ്ങനെ ടൈറ്റിൽ ചെയ്യാൻ കാര്യം? എന്താണ് അങ്ങനെ ചിന്തിച്ചത്?
അത് രണ്ട് കാര്യങ്ങളാണ്. ഒന്ന്, ഈ സിനിമയുടെ ഇത് എഴുതി കഴിഞ്ഞ സമയത്ത് ഇതിൽ എന്താണ് ടൈറ്റിൽ ഇടുക എന്നുള്ളതിനെ പറ്റിയിട്ട് വി ഹാഡ് എ ഡിസ്കഷൻ വിത്ത് അവർ ഫ്രണ്ട്സ്, ക്ലോസ് പീപ്പിൾ ഹു റെഡ് ദ സ്ക്രീൻ പ്ലേ ആൻഡ് ഓൾ ദാറ്റ്. Then suddenly a friend of mine suggested we can go with, because we were talking about Article 19(1) and freedom of speech and expression in our, and I have a friend who's an advocate. So we were just discussing things, and suddenly one person from my group, my friends group, said, then we can choose the title itself, like 19(1). Why can't you do this? Then we started discussing on that. And I removed that article part also, because I wanted, if it's Article 19(1), people knows, oh, it's article number, is that film that we know we are talking about this article. So it's very judgmental and prejudiced to see a film. That's what I thought. Then I thought I remove article number. Then most of the people I told that this is the title. Most of the people thought it's a scene number. So I felt it's good. Then because we are living, many people told the same concerns. Like people won't understand, people will think something else. It may not direct the point that I right direction I go. But then I decided, because we are living in a internet era, if we don't understand a word, we all type it in Google. So it's a good way to get the way the conversation lead, because that's what I wanted also. We are talking about freedom of speech and expression that's exists in our constituency. So if we don't get the title, let's Google it. That's a good way. So I wanted to be, it's the title. If people don't understand the title, I'm glad, because that's what I wanted, because that's when the conversation comes. So I try to keep it that way. We initially discussed Article 19(1), then we removed the article, that gave the little more curiosity to the film. So I like doing things that way. Yeah.
Okay, Indhu, okay.
Yeah,
Janita was asking, was raised a hand.
Hi, ma'am. So I wanted to ask, so like, as a film student and also as someone who has no experience in the field of filmmaking, how can we approach to various people to like learn more about filmmaking, like as like, for example, to ask for assisting or to learn more, because I've seen a trend here among like my peers and all. There's a lot of knowledge shaming happening, that if you don't know enough, you shouldn't even be approaching, or you shouldn't even go and ask people. So which I personally don't agree with. So like, do you face with these similar kind of issue, and how did you cope up with it?
Basically, when I started as an AD, I just finished my film school, and I was trying to do, I didn't know what to do next. I was just waiting. I didn't know, like, we didn't use Instagram or Facebook was there, but we didn't use much, and not everybody was on it. So we don't know how to ask people or who to message, whom we go to say that we just finished this course and now we want to start something. So it was a very difficult time. So I remember suddenly a friend of mine mentioned that there's a film happening like Adamda Maganabu. They need an AD who can read a little bit of English and Hindi and both write a little bit Malayalam as well. So I thought, okay, then I can meet and call the director or associate. Then they passed me a number. It's through a friend that I got my first opportunity. So when I first joined the team, it was for next 3 films. We continued to be the same team, continued working with the director. So I think through people, you don't have to fear asking. You just ask. You can't sit in a place thinking that a right moment will come or this is the person whom I should work with. You just ask everybody, every single person who sees, you meet in a circle and ask them if there's an opportunity. If it's a short film, is it a documentary or whatever is it? If they are shooting something, is there an opportunity? Just at least go there and stand and, hold the light or something like, you just get into it first some way. And also if you have at least a short film link or a profile or something like that, you can share it with directors through all the mediums we have now because of social media, or you can get numbers also. You ask them directly, you follow them, because that's the only way. We get messages like that all the time. We respond to it many times. This happens. We communicate with many of them, and when you go to the film festivals, you try to talk to them, interact with them. It's a good way to start. Don't think about whether you know it or not. Just pretend that you know everything and just start. That's how, no one has any, more time to judge a new person. People don't care about us when we're starting out. They don't think whether we know this or anything like that. So you just start out and talk to everyone. Talk to every single person who you think they are doing something or with the industry, or they have a team or something. Just go and ask them and start working. That's very important.
Okay, thank you so much.
Indhu, what's the best way like one can reach out to you, like an email or?
Email is generally, I think everybody has, my email.
Right.
So a lot of people mail me directly. And
could you share your email ID if possible?
of course, I can share. I'll share with you. And also you can reach out to me through Instagram. Many of the people have done, because I've been using Instagram even before I start my film. I used to write a little bit. So I used to, communicate with people. And that's also that community of people who interact on Instagram, really helped me when I released the film on OTT and all that. I got a huge support from people I used to interact, people who love cinema. So that I always check and response messages there. I think most of the directors do. It's not about, I'm not talking about me. Many people does that.
Right.
So it's a good way.
Abhija,
Yeah.
yeah, please go ahead.
Yes. Indu, I have this question. I think many must have asked you also. Like when women make films, people expect them to make political films or feminist films and all that. Or have you ever felt that? Or can't we have fun with our filmmaking? What is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true, because no one expects us bringing something comedy or fun or maybe an action or anything like that. They all expect us to come with, this light-hearted, very personal stories, and now it's political also. So people are thinking like that, and there's a judgment like that, I think. But we are all doing that also. We can't just say I tried making many other subjects but didn't work. But then I told something very personal. 19 is it's totally in my taste and sync, so it worked. So I think for a first film especially, I'm just a 1-year-old filmmaker. So in my understanding, that personal element in the storytelling helped me do it, that film, the way I wanted to be. So everybody has that judgment, but I think it will take time to overcome that, So after 19 when I started going to meetings and narrating things, everybody was expecting something political. They all were expecting that I am going to narrate something, like. So when I told them I'm trying to do comedy or any other things, that they were very surprised. Oh, we wanted to do this. We expected that. We wanted a film festival premiere, and you are coming with something else. So the expectation changed this way, and it's very difficult now because I have this badge on me that I did 19 Now it's so now it's a challenge to break that as well. It's more tougher now.
Yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah, I want to hear that. Oh my God. When are we going to have fun?
Yeah.
There's no other question. We can actually wind up the session. Oh, so sorry. Yes, I want to ask one thing. You mentioned earlier, we had a conversation. You mentioned you're working on your new project, and everything can't be. Maybe a little bits of information about what is it about, or maybe.
Basically, it's post 19 it's almost 2 years now. I didn't do anything for a year because it's been a very tough journey for me for last almost 10 years to make my first film. I was pushing myself hard. I was rude to me through this journey. So I wanted to take a little time off. Now I made my first film. Let me relax life, and see life a little bit, because I've been going in one direction with one aim for a long time. I was tired after my first film. So I took some time. Also, we had festivals going. So I was traveling a little bit. So I thought I'll take some time. Then I tried to plan few things, and I was parallelly progressing, taking two projects and developing both of them together, two different kind of films with different set of casting and all that. So it took some time to get it mount, basically. So I am parallelly working on two projects. So that's what I can't say, because I don't know which one is going to start first. Because last year I thought at least one of them starts, but it got delayed again. So I am hoping I'll start with a comedy, small fun film. I mean, that's what I am hoping to start. It's something based in Goa and all that. So I'm hoping that will happen this year. And I have some other project, which is a little more deeper kind of a zone with 19 So I'm trying to make the more fun film first and push that to the next. But I don't know what will come. Maybe that will come first. I don't know. It's very unpredictable. Whenever I say this will happen in November, it never happened in November. That is my experience with 19 as well. It took almost 2 years to complete the film. So I'm hoping I can start at least one of them this year.
Okay. Any other questions? Anyone else who want to ask something, discuss something?
Indhu, while writing, you write in Malayalam itself directly. I kind of face a challenge with respect to writing in Malayalam. I can write in Malayalam, but I take a lot more time. So the idea that I had in the beginning kind of misses in the middle. How can one approach if they're not very comfortable with Malayalam, with respect to scripts? Do people hear scripts probably written in English if the dialogue is
correct? Yes. Everybody reads everything now, because it's the whole scenario is changing. We are pitching to producers in Mumbai and Hyderabad and Chennai. Right. We are called for meetings mostly in Mumbai or Chennai. So this is generally, we can't just limit things to Malayalam as of now. When we plan, even because I did a film with Nithya Menon and Vijay Sivadi, everybody expect me to do something like that, the bigger stars and all that. So whenever I write something, I have a friend who translates everything for me, because I keep my scripts ready in English first, because that's most of the actors also, they prefer reading it in English. Right. So you write whichever way possible, because it's the first draft that needed as of now. Right. So don't think about language. Right. And you get help. You can take help from others who are very fluent in language and know more about the language in deeper way. Right. So you just finish your draft and see what's possible then. Yeah.
Thanks for answering.
Okay, just one thing I want to ask you. Sachin mentioned about how things are changing in the international film festival circuit. So many interesting female filmmakers winning awards. good. The criticism is also, very nice. And what do you think about the scenario in India and Kerala?
About Kerala, it's very hopeful and happy scenario because when my film was screened in IFFK, I think there were 20 other female, maybe 20 or 19 or some numbers of films were screened from women filmmakers. Because here when people are taking an effort also to bring the voices up front. So in Kerala, it's very hopeful scenario. In national wide, I don't know what's going to happen now because people are coming with good content. That's there. That's evident. But I don't know how the conversation is happening in Kerala. At least in our festivals and our state awards, in even the state government is providing a fund for women filmmakers. Things are coming well. I'm seeing every 1 or 2 filmmakers debuting in every year. That's a good sign here. But nationally, I don't know what is the scenario currently because we are not hearing about many. At least there's 1 or 2, but can't say the change is very visible in that way. So here, I think it's very, very promising. Yeah, we are seeing every year at least 2 women directors, and I hope they'll all stay and make their films. It's a good sign. I'm very happy about what's happening here in Kerala.
So I think we can wind up the session now. There are a couple of very arresting scenes, very interesting scenes in 19-1A. Like the scene where the protagonist is getting shot. He smiles at the guy who's pointing a gun at him.
Right.
And the scene where the father is waiting for the girl with an umbrella. And I think those are the moments that I, as a spectator, remember when I think about it. Very deeply touching moments. I wish you all the best for your next film. I hope you'll have more moments like that. I wish you all the success. And thank you very much for taking the time out. And thank you everyone for joining and asking some very interesting questions. And we'll come back again with another session on films and filmmaking. Thank you and good night.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks very much.